saw, drill and this, and you could build a house if you had the patience. Folks, welcome back. Today we are on day 3 of the workshop build, and we're going to be turning these into these. Yeah?
There's water in the downstairs bathroom on the floor.
Don't panic me like that, girls. I haven't got time for plumbing. Right, 2 down, 10 to go. We're on the braces, and in the past I've just used a circular saw, either just by eye and finish it up with the chisel, or just using a bit of a straight edge guide. Because we're in the workshop, because I've got power here and because I've got dust extraction, I'm using the track saw and it's working really well. I've worked out which is going to be my reference face. I want to measure back from that side, and I've measured back 30 millimeters. Now, excuse the metric imperial cocktail going on here, but 30 mil coming in on each side leaves me with my 1.5 inch tenon. And the reason why I go with that size is it's the width of my chisel. So it's really nice and easy to use that to mark it out, but also to make sure that my pockets, my mortises are going to be exactly that as well. I know that the width of the chisel is what I'm going to work on. Every single brace you see will be done in a completely different way, whether it's 2 pegs, 1 peg, shorter tenon on one end, same symmetrical, curved, straight. I'm sure there's loads of ways to skin a cat. Right, how is day 3 treating us? It's a washout outside, so I'm glad I had this indoor job to do. I'm 6 braces down, 2 to go if I stick to the plans, but I'm going to possibly do 10 in total, just for the centre part of the building. What I've done is, you see me, I've been using the track saw. In the past, all I've had is a circular saw, which is fine, and you just run it up close to your line. You can tidy up to that afterwards, and you can set that depth anyway. But the benefit is with the track saw is you're definitely going to get a nice straight line there, plus it's a little bit more accurate on the depth, and I can just run it back and forth, and in this case get my 30mm cut out to create these shoulders. And I doubt this is in any way the right way, but it's getting the job done. I've got the line to pare down to, but I'm just at the bottom of those cuts, I'm just taking a little chunk out. It's a little different when you're working with little timbers like this. When you're doing this, the beams, stuff doesn't move, whereas unless you've got hold downs and stuff, this is a little bit of a pain. So the tenons I've got here are 1.5 inches, same width as our chisel, and same width as a traditional framing square, so we can use that to do our layout. Likewise, when we come to the mortises, we can mark up with that. So now the bulk's removed, I just go straight in then with the chisel. Now this chisel here is what I've always used for the timber framing. It's an 1.5 inch timber framing chisel, a Robert Sorby chisel, and it is, for me at least, it's just the go-to for everything. You could build the whole building with just this saw, drill and this, and you could build a house if you had the patience. Do you know what, I might just screw a block of wood. Obviously I can't do it yet because we haven't finished the underside, but we can use our chisel then to check the thickness of our tenon, which it should match. And then by sitting the chisel on top, we want to make sure that we're not humped up. We know the edges are down to the line that we wanted, so we want to make sure that everything in the centre of that is, well, it's a little bit lower, but that's better than it being humped up. So there's a little bit just to sneak off there, where you can just make out the track saw mark still. Right, whilst I do this, I figured I'd try and answer some of the questions that came up in the last video. One comment that came up a lot was, what was I thinking hooking up an extractor to the planer? And it did look a little bit comical, but actually, as I explained, I think in yesterday's video, the wet wood just clogs it up. So unless you've got some way of clearing those chips out, just imagine wet grass in a lawnmower. It just gums up and then you're forever trying to unclog it. So yes, it's a bit of a pain, but it did pay to have vacuum set up for most of it. Cost was something else that came up. The beams cost me, I think, 1,200 quid, around that. Oak, probably 30% more if I was going to do it in oak. But of course, I'm using bigger timbers than I need to, and that's just part of the look and the design I'm going for. You could do this in standard 6-inch posts, which is far more sensible, and that would save you a little bit as well. Plenty of comments about the Triton planer. I said it was an inexpensive tool, and it is when you compare it to the alternatives. Now the alternatives are Makita, do one a similar size, then they do one about twice the width. We're talking thousands of pounds for those tools, same for Mattel. So for something that can plane up to that width for under £300, it is a reasonable price tool. I also thought I'd better reassure you that I haven't forgotten the roof. The roof is done. The scaffolding came down a few days ago, but I'm waiting for that nice blue sky day to get the final photos of the roof. And then it probably makes sense to do a bit of a question and answers type follow-up on the whole roof series, because I'm still getting comments come in on those videos every day and emails and things like that. So maybe if you've got questions on the roofing project, then you could stick them below this video maybe, and then I will try and compile those into a full wrap-up video on the roof. Right, this one will be our 8th. So this is where we are. We've got 8 braces all done and roughed out, ready for the tenons to be cut tomorrow. I'm going to do that on the bandsaw, so we'll just be shortening them and squaring them off a little bit. The thing I want to do is make up a template first thing in the morning, and then we'll transfer a line onto these and just cut a slight curve on this, just to give them more of a traditional look. In a true traditional timber frame, especially an oak frame, you would use actual sections of the tree which are curved already, so we're kind of simulating that by putting a bit of a curve in. It's just more of a style thing. Anyway, it was good to get to this point. I'm just about on my made up schedule. The idea was to get braces done today. Of course, we're gonna have to spend another probably 3 or 4 hours getting these completely finished, but then we'll be soon back onto the timber frame, and hopefully we'll be jumping onto those larger frames. But thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.